Somebody should do something with it.
When you see the little orange Jeep hauling, just pretend like you don't see it.
Call the meeting to order. Those who care to, please stand for an opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. Mr. Cameron, if you would.
Thank you. Let's pray. Dear Father, we just thank you for this day, and thank you, Lord, for the sunshine. Thank you for the warmth and just the changing seasons, Lord, that we see. And I just pray, God, that you would be with us tonight, be with this city, Lord. We just pray for your favor, your continued favor upon this city, and just guide and direct us in all we do and all that we say. For your glory, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, I'd like to open up citizen participation. Anyone who wishes to speak to anything not on the agenda, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak to anything not on the agenda? Seeing none, citizen participation is closed. Ask for a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
I can vote. Okay. Yes.
In the affirmative? Okay. Motion carries 7-0. On to Boards, Commission, Committee schedule. City Council meeting will be April 2nd, 2019 here at City Hall, followed by April 16th, 2019 here at City Hall. And the Planning and Zoning meeting schedule for April 8th is a go. It will happen here at City Hall as well. Moving on to old business and tabled items, I need a motion and a second for the second reading of Bill number 19-02.
Motion.
I'm sorry, stand by. This is going to be a tabled item again. Mr. Cameron, would you like to?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, what we did in this particular development, we've moved the first reading forward, giving the developer time to get their bonds and things in order because there's still improvements to the site that need to be done, which have still not been done, so therefore they're allowed to get a bond and present that. Unfortunately, prior to the meeting tonight, just could not get that secured, and so we cannot move that forward until we have that to present to you. So it will be on the April 2nd meeting, but hopefully we'll have it for that meeting in time for them to start selling some lots out there.
Do you have any questions from council? If not, I would ask for a motion to second to again table this item.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Since it is a second read, do we need to last time? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0, and that item will be again tabled until the April 2nd, 2019 meeting. Moving on, need a motion and a second for the second reading of Bill number 19-04.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Laura.
The ordinance of the City Council of the City of Public, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into a development agreement with Garden 3 LLC for water line public improvements to the Garden Business Park.
Thank you. Need a motion and a second for final passage of Bill number 19-04.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. We have had an overview from Mr. Brickner at the last meeting, and he is present tonight for any questions, comments, or concerns from council. Anything from council at all? Okay. Seeing nothing, roll call vote.
Councilmember Jones? Oh, he's not here, sorry. Councilmember Dykeman?
Aye.
Councilmember Franklin?
Aye.
Councilmember Self?
Aye.
Councilmember Russell?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Shears?
Aye.
Councilmember Durant?
Aye.
Bill carries 7-0. Moving on again tonight, we do have a fairly short agenda, so there is no first read to go over, but we do have a couple of resolutions. So resolution number 19-R-07, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the police department to apply for 2 reimbursable 2019 to 2020 Missouri Highway Safety Program for traffic enforcement grants. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Lieutenant Burns.
Republic Police Department is requesting authorization to apply for 2 reimbursable Missouri Highway Safety Program grants for the end of 2019 and into 2020 that provides funding directly to law enforcement agencies having primary law enforcement authority to increase their focus on traffic safety and DWI enforcement. These are two grants that we have applied for many years in the past and received all but 1 year that I'm aware of. They are through MoDOT. They are for overtime. The officers would come out and do such things such as sobriety, DWI saturation, or hazardous motor vehicle saturation. They would be paid time and a half for that and then reimbursed through the grant. This year we are currently just past the first quarter of it, and we've already used over half that we got, and we're only just past the first quarter. From this, it would start October 1st and run through September 30th of 19 into 20. And on the HMV grant, we are asking for $8,000, and the DWI enforcement grant, we will be asking for $10,000.
Thank you.
Should I vote on this?
Any questions, comments, or concerns from council? I don't know if you can answer this or not, but since this is a reimbursable grant in the past, has it taken a long time for the state to reimburse us, or is it fairly quick?
No, we typically, we turned in first quarter, and I believe we had it back within 4 weeks. So it's typically pretty quick.
And do we focus more on enforcement than we do checkpoints?
So there's new statute that we can no longer use this funding for checkpoints. So this would be more for sobriety or DWI saturation. So we would send several officers out in the evening, let's say St. Patrick's Day, holidays, Memorial Weekend, and then the hazardous motor vehicle. That's pretty much, we could use that anytime for speeders. If we have complaints about speeding, we can assign somebody to that.
Mr. Wilson has the news. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, resolution number 19-R-08. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, awarding the bid and authorizing payment for the city workers' compensation insurance for 2019-2020. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Adding.
Hey, good evening. Our current workers' compensation insurance policy expires March 31st. So this renewal policy will be for period April 1st, 2019 through March 31st of 2020. The bids came in. I was able to get an additional bid other than our current provider, which is Missouri Rural. Missouri Rural's bid came in at $163,551. It is an increase of $8,965 over last year's premium. That increase is due to a number of factors, one being the salary increase of employees, adding more staff, as well as our claims increase. The good news, though, is that we actually had budgeted $195,000 for the workers' comp, anticipating these increases. So the bid actually came in $31,400 under budget. Now this is part two, because there's always the estimated premium, which we're doing tonight, and then we'll have the audited premium in July. That typically is around a 5% increase, so it's not a substantial amount that might be added to that amount. I did receive an additional bid from NPR, who is our current liability insurance provider, and their bid came in at $207,462, which currently, it just as an estimated premium, will be about $12,400 over budget. If you see on that quote, it is for April through June of 2020, so it is a 15-month quote. It looks like on paper, after confirming with them, they said it is actually a 12-month quote. Their claim year is July 1 through June 30th, but they did estimate that on 12 months, not 15. So I have Dan Holt here from Missouri Rural to answer any specific questions that you might have, technical questions about about the quote, so we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments, or concerns from the council? Quiet group. Okay. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate you coming and taking time to help our city out.
So, of course, we are recommending going with Missouri Rural.
I recommend it too. I have no doubt that you do. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries 7-0. Thank you both. Thank you. That will take care of the bills and resolutions, so now we'll move on to reports from staff and Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just as a calendar event, the work session that was originally scheduled for tonight will be April 2nd. And so looking forward to Garrett and his team showcasing what they've put together to date on the comprehensive plan and kind of rolling that out. I didn't get a chance to show the latest video. I kind of showed the teaser that I probably wasn't supposed to show to the chamber meeting that they put together. Is very, very good. So I'm looking forward to you getting a chance to see what they've been working on. So we actually had a follow-up meeting for the US 174 and 60 discussion with MoDOT and the OTO after last council meeting, which was the third meeting on how to distribute the funding or how to work on the transportation grid in our region. And so the news didn't get much better. The news got better for US 174 and 60, but the outlook for the financial model got a little bit weaker. And I put some language in the last admin report that talked about the rescission. So we're going to be drafting some letters. I'll probably be writing some letters on behalf of the city, just expressing concern again over the funding for transportation and how much it's affecting us. But in those initial discussions, we were talking out to 2025. 2025, there is zero. That's basically forecasted. But when we were talking about cutting back, it started cutting back. If I recall, the last meeting was actually cutting 2021 out of the funding cycle, so it only got into 2020. However, Republic's project still made it through that last meeting. So there's only about $6.5–7 million worth of funding, and our project is still covered in that. There's another about $5.5 million improvement to James River Freeway, but that's all the funding in Southwest Missouri. So it's when I say the word favor in our community, I believe that's an opportunity that came to us that we're going to be able to take full advantage of. But we need an improvement at 174 and 60 desperately need improvement. But it's been, I want to get to the fourth meeting. I will say one thing that was very promising, and Andrew and I both saw it the same day because I was like, yes, that's a great sign. The surveyors were out spray painting and setting markers in that intersection, which tells me that the state is surveying that and preparing for the design, because they'll want to bid this and start work in 2020. So I'm hoping at the next meeting or even shortly thereafter that the OTO board, which again I serve on, will ratify that and we'll get that project approved and moving forward. And so be a huge win for the community. And why I share that is if anyone's, one of the things that we're talking about with the ballot initiative, it includes 174 and 60. I don't want anyone to say or to misperceive that there is a joint effort going on at the same time. So if that was to be done through funding of that, we will make sure we clarify that. But when we presented the information to the community regarding the ballot, one of the ideas was a cost share with MoDOT. But if MoDOT pays for that, we'll gladly take it. But that's just a point of clarification that I'd make on that intersection that some may ask is, well, they're already going to pay for it. We don't know that yet. We're still waiting for one more meeting to hope to get that done. And then lastly, the last 2 days, a number of the staff and myself have been participating in a 2-day exercise that was facilitated through Missouri Partnership, which basically handles the economic development aspect, or part of it for the state, along with the state economic development. We were thinking ADA, Economic Development Advisory Commission. Is that right? Too many acronyms. And then the Springfield Chamber of Commerce, the Republic Chamber of Commerce. And what we did is we go through a 2-day exercise. It's a mock exercise that kind of showcases our community, where we get the opportunity to show what we're doing, but it's also an opportunity for them to critique how we're doing as a community and things that we need to be doing that make us that much more marketable when it comes to economic development. And so, as I explained today, I felt like it's been going through 2 days in a washing machine and just the constant going back and forth. You're like, wow, we're doing this really well, and then you're going, wow, we really need to improve on this. But it was a great exercise of what we're doing right in the community. And there was a statement that was made today, and what I'm gonna do when we get the results, which they're gonna provide a written report in 2 weeks, I'm gonna do a work session with the council to demonstrate what we collectively, can be doing collectively as a board or as a council, and actually having a work session to discuss how do we market ourselves and get a brand and a messaging that we wanna share together, because we have to present a united front of what that is. And they're reading all of that. They're reading all the information that we're putting out. They're following us. They're checking us out. They're reading what we're putting out there. And so they had demographic information. They see, and they're just looking for anything that we can help market ourselves a little bit better, because they believe that we have a great opportunity in the Republic. We believe we have a great opportunity. We were selling this opportunity in the community. But there was one statement that was made today that I was very proud of. There was several that I'm like, okay, we're going to have to work on, but we acknowledge those things. But when they brought up the point that today that we were keeping up with the pace of business, I needed them to elaborate on that. And what it was saying that government is typically, government is not a business entity. We're government, so we're not necessarily operating as a business, but we work in a business environment where time is money to them as well. And they were actually saying that we were keeping up at that pace with business, and that was a very large attraction to business of how quickly our development and how quickly our reviews are going through. I thought that was a great marker for our community, considering where we've been and where we're at today. And so that was exciting, but I think we're really, what I gleaned from the last 2 days and what I would share with you is we're to the point where we're marketing ourselves. We've been marketing and been trying to do that, but creating that message about bringing the whole community together, the chamber, the school district, what the test scores that we're seeing, the commute times from how far people are willing to drive to go to work in our community, how far people are willing to drive to go to work outside our community, and putting that all into a competitive package. I had no idea that the average age, or the median age was 31 years old in Republic, and all the things that were attractive, and that we had our testing scores were so much higher than they were in all the region. And how do we put that together in a package in addition to the developers agreements that we're creating? Those are great tools, and historically in economic development it's always been about infrastructure. What incentives can you provide? But now it's talking about that quality of place after 5 o'clock. What can you offer? So bringing the battlefield into the discussion. What the little things that we offer, the coffee shops. It was just shocking to see, like, that wouldn't make a big deal to me, but they were big issues that we needed to cover. But we presented our community well, and the feedback was excellent. I was waiting for this horrible report card, because that's what you're asking for. You're asking for a true assessment. We got one. We got some direct feedback. But be proud of your community. It is on the move, and it was exciting to hear other people tell us that they were coming from Dallas. These are site selectors, and to hear them say, I would recommend someone to come into your community and do business. And I have clients that I would bring in here to do business. So it was just a great opportunity. It was a grant that we got that not everybody's getting. And here's the deal: you got to volunteer to put yourself through that litmus test. And it's hard to hear. There's things that you think, man, we were really knocking it out of the park. They can, tell us where we're wrong. And man, when you find out there's a pretty good list, you're like, wow. Okay, so I believe it's going from good to great is the opportunity we're going to get from this exercise. But Councilmember Self was able to, I needed to call people at last minute to say, hey, could you join us for dinner? I was able to call Brandon last night, so I appreciate you showing up at the last minute to do that and to play the part. Did a good job, gleaned a lot of information, so anything you could share will be appreciated. But thank you to the staff pulling that together. Garrett, our teammate, got sick, just couldn't the last minute. We was like, man, we really needed him today, but we wanted to get well. But Karen, you did a fantastic job. Andrew, Garrett, there's certain situations where I know you guys sit there and like, what are we doing here today? But it meant a lot to the site selectors to have those resources there. So great job, a great show, just a great show by our staff and our community. And still got work to do, but looking forward to providing you those results because they're very telling, and I think we made a lot of great strides, but I think the best is yet to come. So that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. I want to change things up a little bit and go to council. Mr. Self.
Thank you for the invite. The lady there across the table that was from Dallas, she had a lot of good thoughts and thought differently. And I asked several questions, which I won't go into all of them tonight, but just having that kind of someone from out of the area, that, you come in, you fly in, and just the road that you go from the airport to into your town even, she talked about that, and that's one of those things that, you know, we want to kind of grab onto and as someone is looking, that's something we have to think about. So just a lot of outside the box thinking, and it was a lesson, so it was nice, but that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson?
Short meeting tonight. I really don't have a whole lot to say other than it's an awful pretty day out there.
We didn't give you much to talk about, did we?
You know,
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shears?
I'd like to encourage everyone, of course, to vote. Makes a big difference on who we select for city council. It makes a big difference also for our school board. Of course, with the 1 cent sales tax coming up, that's also a large issue. It's going to affect one way or the other in our city for years and decades to come. Appreciate working with this group. Feel very blessed.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Dykeman?
Well, I just, again, you know, with what David said about this meeting, and I was by yesterday morning, he was doing some work on that presentation, but our staff just keeps doing the best job of any city I've ever seen. I appreciate everything that all of the staff does. And of course, remember to vote on the second.
Sir. Mr. Russell?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Graham?
Well, I'm just going to echo a little bit of what everybody else said. I'm really excited to see the results. I was at Chambers, so I was able to see a little preview. I can't wait for everybody else to be able to see that. Very exciting. And don't forget to vote. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Franklin?
Vote, make sure and vote, of course. One thing I'd like to add is I really appreciate the video that Mr. Landis and the mayor did. That was a very good video, and it's a little, I watched it a few times, a little bit long, but it's really good, a lot of good information, and I really appreciate having that video to share with other people. It really tells a lot about our community. But great work, and thank you very much.
Thank you. So I want to start off by saying congratulations to the Republic Lady Tigers. They went to the Final Four. They ended up in 4th place, but there are a lot of teams that didn't make it to the Final Four, so that's quite an accomplishment, something to be proud of for Republic. I've also gotten some, you know, it kind of goes in spurts, kind of like when we have snow. You know, you get an inch an hour or you get nothing. And I've had some citizen complaints over the past couple of weeks, just about a number of different things. So a debt of gratitude to the staff members who have taken a hold of it and fixed problems quickly. So, because in my personal or my professional life, I have to follow up and make sure something got done. So I thank the police department for following up with an accident that occurred for someone who was out of town and needed their police report, and some complaints we had about some issues for public works that were taken care of really quickly. And I've got a couple more to talk to Mr. Cameron about after the meeting, but which I have every confidence that they just get handled so quickly. So, and then talking about that, a little bit about our police and fire. So as the city grows, we know everything else grows along with it, and so do the calls for service that our firemen and that our police officers take. It just seems crazy to me that for the month of March up to the 14th, there were 95 police reports taken in the city of Republic and 472 incidents, which is 33.7 incidents a day for our police department. Then you move on to the fire department, and I would love to be able to put something like this up on the website for citizens to see, but there's a map here, and I don't know if you can see it, but every yellow dot is an incident or a call for service that the fire department responded to, and it is all over town. I don't think there's a part of town that wasn't touched at least somewhat by a dot. So it's a lot of work that's put in day and day out by those folks, and we will continue to strain those resources as the city grows. So thank you guys for the work that you put in every day, and your firemen and your police officers, because it's not an easy job. It's not always fun, but they wouldn't be doing it if they didn't like it. I know, because I did. So, and then some of the road work that's been ongoing throughout the city, some of the things that stretching that dollar has been, when you see that annual report and the amount of street work we were actually able to do with the dollar that we had, and sometimes it feels like it was actually just $1. That striping, the deal you worked out with the striping, so I'm just looking forward to doing that in the next year, so some of those citizen complaints will start to whittle away, hopefully. So with that, I don't have anything else other than to say we do not have any of the dreaded red folders in front of us, so no executive session. A motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Never. Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Hey, David, did you have your report this time?
No, zero tastes more like Coke.